This is a test of the boundary part alert system. Hello, welcome to the Lattice Football Phony with me, George Harrison, and
me, sexy Dave Bradley.
So
Quiet week.
Yeah, it's been pretty chilled. Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
I thought we changed tack this week.
Yeah.
Talk about something else.
What?
Just anything.
Cricket?
Anything? No, I don't like cricket.
The Ruffiheads.
I don't know anything about them.
What? Rugby? No.
Don't know anything about rugby.
Snooker.
Not really snooker season, is it?
Golf.
Don't like golf.
No one likes golf. Fashion.
Nah. Oh, I can see this is only heading one way.
Sexual endeavours.
No.
Okay, fair enough.
you know how that gets me going, Dave.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to talk about Lattice, won't we?
Yeah, why not?
Let's, as much as I don't want to.
Let's get to it.
But look, we reluctantly provide this platform every week. Despite getting
free platform,
and getting criticised for like not letting people have their say. So I can just tell Gaz now, he's sat there in the back. We're not going to let you in, first of all. You're not coming in. Maybe you're not coming in.
Everyone's coming in.
None of you are coming in. Look, we provided. Yeah. We're going to let you all say. Have you say? It's there are just some people out there just who don't have the John Stones to actually get from behind.
John Stones. Billy Big Airy Bollocks
from behind their keyboards and get on here. Yeah, I'm talking of your Ross Coins, your Dale Hadfields, people like this who just haven't got what it takes. Who are either too ugly, too stupid, or frankly both. I don't know.
Well,
but the platform is here for you.
In the eye of the beholder.
It is. But the platform is here for you guys as much as it's here for anybody else. And if you come on tonight, we'll let you talk. Because I thought what I was going to do tonight what I'd do is I'd just agree with everyone. So come on and I'll agree with you. I'll nod and smile and just, have you say, and whatever you say, you're right. Okay. There's no right and wrong tonight. In fact, there's no wrong tonight.
No, it's just
what
nobody's right. Nobody's right. It's just a broad church for everyone to pass on their opinions.
It's the church of the poisoned mind, more like that.
Well,
anyway, let's crack on. Let's get right into it. Let's get right into it. Let's get right into the heart of envy. Let's go from the lower house to envy, skipping Notts County away, and bring Gaz in. You're on mute, mate.
You're on mute, Gaz. On mute.
No, I'm not.
There you go. There you
right?
go.
How are you, gents?
All right, yeah.
Not bad.
Good. How are you?
Yeah, not bad at all, actually. Not bad at all.
You know what? I'm quite impressed that you've got about 10 seconds in and not said sack him yet. So I think that's good. So off you go.
You've just reminded me. Sack him. Cheers, lads. Do you discuss Solihull? To be fair,
it's your show, guys. Say what you want.
No, say what you want.
If you want to talk about Solihull, we'll talk about Solihull. Whatever.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I'll start with Solihull then. Let's add a bit of balance. I actually thought Solihull. I struggled to pin that one on Unsworth, and I think that was because there was intent with the selection. There was intent with the formation. All right, it lacked any substance, I thought, on the pitch, on the whole. They genuinely didn't know how to play it, and there's a serious lack of design and patterns in creating chances.
Carved two really good chances, though, didn't we? Before
yes, we did. We
should have been 2 up.
We seem to play in moments. We play in moments, like a bit of brilliance from Sutton. There's no real design. The only thing I say we pin on is we look to get crosses in the box and hope to get something off it. And yes, we should have scored at least one of those 2 chances. I mean, that being said, Mark Kitchen rugby tackled their centre forward, and that should have been a penalty. But anyway,
it was a Stonewall.
Yeah, it was. I just thought in general what happened. I thought we started well. And then after about 20, 25 minutes, we just started. I was sat in the Joe Royal stand towards Rochdale Road, and I started to see Alex Reid a lot more than what I wanted to. And that's because I'm not saying it structurally, purposely went like this, but we ended up more 4-5-1 rather than 4-3-3. And we was doing a lot of chasing then, a lot of time without the ball. And this is what seems to be the pattern. I think we're going to games positive. There's a lot of fans there. They're getting behind the players, but the negative setup is rubbing off on the fans then, or a portion of the fans. I still think I'll die on the hill. I don't think that was a yellow for Fondop. I don't think it was a first yellow. I don't think it was a second yellow. I don't think in any game that's a yellow. That's just my view. I don't think it was.
Pedantic refereeing, wasn't it, really?
I mean, it was clumsy, but it's just not a yellow on any. It weren't in a dangerous area of the pitch. He kind of fell over and it worked.
Under law, it's reckless. And he had to. It was an easy yellow card to give, unfortunately, because he'd already booked him. And I think, if it was a first challenge before he'd been booked, I don't think he would have given the yellow card. I think because he booked him and it was just an easy out for the referee, he decided to give it. But I have no complaints over it. The 2 yellow cards were 2 yellow cards.
Ultimately, the finger of blame really has to point to Fondop, doesn't it? Because it's 2 stupid errors that's cost the team, doesn't it? So
I mean that was. Although I don't think it was a yellow, I can't complain it was given at the same time. But I agree with what you're saying, Dave. If that's the first challenge, that's never a yellow in any game.
No.
It was on the bit closer towards the box and their player was running towards our box. I could have seen it. I mean, in the exact same position in the second half, they were breaking away and Dickinson just pulled the lad right back and didn't even get a booking. And that was 10 times worse than what Fondop did. I thought his subs at half-time were incredibly brave.
I thought they were the right thing to do, weren't they? They
were brave. I was glad to see either Shelton or Sheeran come off. I was glad it was Shelton because I thought he was struggling.
Can I say where I agree with you guys is, and tell me if you agree with this. I'm not saying that every single decision by Unsworth tactically, substitutions wise, way set up teams, performance wise, even isn't room for criticism. I'm not saying that at all. I thought that the chance of Unsworth out and stuff on, I thought they were unjustified based on that performance because I thought that we managed to stay in the game with 10 men. He did what he could with 10 men with the substitutions at half time. And like you said, I thought he set the team up to have a go. And I fancy us to have won that game with 11 men. So I thought that I can understand fans' frustration at losing another game. I didn't necessarily think that the performance and the efforts by everybody on Monday warranted that, we want Unsworth out chant compared to maybe some of the other games.
Yeah. I think where I'll agree is I'll say on Monday when it happened, I turned to a few friends with a few rows up, and when there was the odd, they were only small chance during the game, and they had no substance really. But I was slightly more uncomfortable with it there than what I was at Chesterfield, for example. And that was because I thought, for whatever reason, he showed endeavour. The issue is the product is that bad. The Atleticos were bored. I feel sorry for them. They're bored because there's nothing for them to really get behind other than the rush of the first being at the game and the 3 o'clock kickoff and the kickoff, and then the first 10 minutes, and then it just dies a death. It really, really does, and that's what's rubbing off onto the fans. I did think it was perhaps. I didn't think it was justified during the game on Monday, no. And then I think what happens at the end is the second goal goes in and all roads at the moment are leading to Unsworth because ultimately he's the manager and the managers are the fall guys ultimately. And it wasn't just Monday. It's the start of this season, the lies in the interviews, the negative setup, and it's the straw that is breaking the camel's back in every single vertebrae that camel's got, and that's why at the end I think the players were clapped off. They walked around all the stands, and people in there clapped them off. I weren't prepared to give any of the players any stick on Monday. I thought they had a bash. What's frustrating for me at the moment is when we have a goal, we look good. We look like we can open teams. And I just think Unsworth has got a really easy fix here. Set us up on the front foot, set us up positively, and that positivity will drip into the stands and he will get more of an allowance. But unfortunately, he's setting us up, in my opinion, as if we are the underdog in every game. He's setting us up to be difficult to beat, in my opinion, is what you would do if you're a team who's trying to avoid the drop or pick up, drip feed on points. I think he should be doing it the other way. We've got Norwood, we've got Raglan. These are guys of pedigree at this level. And if they were on the front foot more, teams would have to set up to be difficult against us. And then we would all automatically then have that momentum. But it's just not his way. Naturally, his way, a bit like, your Allardyces and your Bruces and your Hughes, their way is be difficult to beat and pick up point on the road and win at home. The issue is with Unsworth, he's tripped himself up in a few interviews. The fast dynamic football, I take it as a pinch of salt, if I'm honest. It don't fuss me, that. But what I have picked up on him was when he said he's not willing to sacrifice winning for good football, but we're getting neither at the moment. And that's my concern. There's a growing discontent. It's getting larger and larger and larger, whether it's Twitter or when the Blues are in the stands. The board will have heard that loud and clear at the end of the game on Monday.
I've no doubt, Gaz, that he has to justify to the board what his plan is and how he's planning on addressing it. And that, I think that as long as he's in the job, that means that they are confident that they think that what he's doing, what his plans are. Some of the things that you say, I don't disagree with what you're saying, guys. I don't disagree with the points that you've made there. I think we've seen from the reintroduction of Dan Gardner what
it can do,
difference it makes when you've got a player who can find a pass and who's composed on the ball.
Well as well.
I thought he was man of the match on Monday. So I think there's that to come back. I think there's players like Norwood who's not up to full fitness yet. Dickinson's not up to full fitness yet. And with Gardner, I think that maybe, and it might be nice to hear this if this is the case from the club and from the manager, that there's maybe a plan of reintroducing players and maybe playing a certain way while those players are coming back in, because I don't think we are at the point where the squad and the team is at full pelt. And I think we're seeing that. And maybe some of the decisions that are being made are affecting that. I don't know. I don't think what we've got at the minute is a squad and a team that is fully fit and is fully up to speed. Now, people will say, well, you've had pre-season and all that. I don't think we're throwing the kind of money around that Chesterfield and Notts County were. So we're not actually buying or bringing players in, say, from League One who are fully fit and on form. We're having to bring in players and then maybe bring them up to speed. And I think maybe we're at that point. And that I'm prepared to that's where my sort of patience comes in, where I'm prepared to say, well, I think there's maybe a few other little bits going on, and that, because I can't imagine how you would possibly think it's possible to go for promotion this season by sitting back. You have to go for it at some point.
Played in the playoff final for Barnsley, and has he had an injury since? Is he not training pre-season? I can't understand why he won't be up to scratch.
Not sure. Well, that's what we've been told, isn't it? That he's not got it in him. So
I think, with respect, it's absolute bollocks.
Well, that's not. I mean, we don't know that. You say that.
You would look at with the Dan Gardner thing. I get. I'm going back off your interview with Mick Rathbone. They said they were going to gentle with him, and I completely get it. And if it means keeping him fit, fair enough. But then what's very contradictory there is he was asked to play 90 minutes with 10 men on Monday for the first game. So it doesn't make sense.
That's because he started the game, and then if you looked at the bench, there wasn't really. I mean, the options to change it once Fondop got sent off, there wasn't any more midfielders on the bench, was there? Apart from Divan Green. So
I'm not criticising the subs because I thought they showed intent, but to me, if you was going to ask one of Reid or Gardner to do 90 minutes, it'd have been less riskier to do Reid. However, Gardner got through, and I thought he made a difference for us on the pitch, and I liked him and Dickinson in the middle together.
I just think, guys, we're not the finished article. We're definitely not the finished article, and I think that needs taken into consideration to some degree.
But we're stronger than last year.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we keep being reminded, how well we finished last year. But we started in, and listen, this this start has been an absolute disgrace considering what we've invested. And I'm gonna stick. I might be being emotive, but it's been a disgrace. It should have been miles better. From what we were told about what they've been doing in pre-season, we're going to be fitter. We're going to outrun people. We look tired. We look leggy. I mean, Solihull put their manager in 2 weeks before the start of the season, and they had more ideas than us. They looked more like a team than us. The result at Boreham Wood away, we're dressing up chicken shit as chicken noodles.
We were talking about teams there that were in the playoffs last season, and they are better teams than us, or they were better teams than us last season.
But they had 12 fit professionals, and is last season relevant or not? Because on both sides of the coin, we choose.
I get that argument, but teams that are better last season have got more chance of being stronger this season than team. I mean, I don't want to use the word incremental, but as much as we improve, so does everybody else. That's something to consider. We're going to have to move on.
I think what do you think the answer is then, Gaz? Because we've got another 8 callers waiting. What would you do?
Well, to summarise very quickly, I think we're pinning a lot on Josh Lundstrom coming back. If there's a lot of pressure on that lad's shoulders and he's not kicked a ball yet.
Yeah.
Unsworth, in my opinion, that's how he sees the best way of winning football matches: being tight, being hard to beat, not being out of shape, and picking up the odd point or away from home and trying to win your own games. I just don't think that's going to wash for us. I worry about. I mean, you might think it's knee jerk. I don't. It's 12 months in. It's 40 games. I think we've seen enough. I think the board are hearing the message loud and clear. And for me, the fix is 2 words. Sack him.
And who do you bring in?
No. That's Gaz's view.
I would approach Altringham's manager, Phil Parkinson.
He's under contract till 2027.
Pay him off.
But then we'd have to pay our funds. It's a lot of money.
It is, but we shouldn't have made that. It's like it's a lot of money for Rooney on 3 years, isn't it? We've already fucked
yeah.
So
I think
that's why it's really easy to say sack him, but not quite as easy to make the decisions.
If that's the case, then we're absolutely bollocks for another 3 years, aren't we?
Well, possibly. Guys, can I just ask you one quick question? Yes or no? Do you feel you've been given a fair opportunity by the Latics Football Forum to vent your views this evening?
This evening, I've been very welcomed and treated finely.
And you're happy with the fancy? Okay, great.
Thanks,
stuff.
mate.
Thanks.
Cheers,
all right. See you later, mate.
Ciao, mate. Right, let's bring him in. Ibby.
Evening, guys. You all right?
How are you, Ibby?
I'm all right, Matt.
I mean, I'm pretty confident what your stance is going to be, mate. But yeah, away you go.
Just very disappointed, and it's all getting proven that he's not good enough. And I said I would give him 10 games, but I think he might not even complete that. I think he needs to really go. But the board, that's down to them. But at the moment, I'm very surprised the board haven't even acted on him. And
well, they're not going to come out and give it the old board of the, what they call it,
vote of
confidence, because that's always bad news when that happens, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just disappointed because I really wanted to give him a chance because he made some very good signings. But come on, what we've been getting lately is appalling. Players are lost. He comes out after Chesterfield game. I don't know if it's mind game, but you shouldn't be coming out and saying things like that. And I feel sorry for the fans. The last that I don't want to see is fan protest under Frank's ownership. But it might come to that point if the boards are not going to consider changing managers, because I've had enough. I've emailed the club to ask them what is the plan. Nobody comes out to even speak, and I'm disappointed with Darren Royal because I've not said anything back to him. I just want to hear his view, but they don't want to really speak to the fans.
Do you think they might just want to stick by their appointment and make the decision when it's the right time?
But time is running out. Come on, Luke said it in pre-season that we're going to give it a very good shot at promotion. And
there's 40 games left, isn't there?
Yeah, but come on, guys. Chesterfield had a wobble last week. If we want promotion, we should be aiming for it, not losing games in the way it's happened. And I would find formed up a month wage for that stupid sending off and it's just disappointing at the moment. Being a Lachix fan at the moment,
it's been like that for 30 years, mate. It's been a difficult time all round.
I know.
I think we need to give him a bit more time because it's pointless. We're going to have to pay him up. He's got 2 years left. His coaching staff has got 2 years left. We'd have to pay him up. We'd have to maybe get a manager who's available. There's been shouts of, who is available.
Well, Darren Moore keeps coming up.
Darren Moore, Neil Ardley.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is,
I can't see Darren Moore taking over. Sadly,
he won't drop down 2 leagues.
The thing is,
no chance.
You're no more guaranteed success under the next manager than you are under this one. But that's the bottom line of it. So it's a risk for the club, and some people say it's a risk to keep him. Some people will say it's a risk to sack him. So the reason I think he's still in a job is because I believe that when you look at the stats, and I know that like they are big stats people. Darren Royal is a big stats man. I think when you look at the stats and you look at the results and the performances, it's been very tight. You can rule out the Southend game was obviously ended 4-0, but Will Sutton was sent off after an hour and then they scored 3 goals. The other day against Solihull, it was a 1-0 game, but we pushed everybody forward to get an equaliser and the break and it was 2-0. The other, I think it's been very tight. And so I think the argument is that what and certainly what David Unsworth will be telling the board is that we're on the cusp of starting to get results, and that once a couple of players are back from injury, maybe if they make a signing or whatever, and that's where I think the mindset's at. So that's why I think he's going to get the time for that to happen, which is why my argument, or not my argument, but my point of view that the fans wanting and putting pressure on now is counterproductive, because I think he's going to get that time. So I think the fans are perfectly entitled to make their feelings clear. I think they've done that. It's just very hard for fans to keep their counsel during games when it's not going their way. So what we really, really all need is for Saturday to go our way. That is why everybody needs that.
Can I just clear this up as well, Jenny? We do allow people on the phone in with to show the camera off screen to us. And if you feel that you don't want to come on the phone in with your camera, you can switch it off, but we need to see your face. So we've got Keep the Faith, Ben, because we've been bitten by a Ben. Bitten before. If you show your face on camera, that's great. We will then, if you don't want to be
as well, so
we know
I mean,
he comes to our Christmas party, don't you?
Yeah, if there's a first-time caller, then we're gonna have to see who you are.
I did show my face before.
I know you did. I know you did. But it's just Jenny with the PC.
She's a stickler for the rules, Jenny.
You know what I would be doing is, I don't understand what's happened with John Rooney. I don't know why the board are letting him rot. He's under a massive contract. Why not bring him back in the team? It maybe gives us a lift.
It might be the attitude there, mate. I think it's just his attitude in terms of...
I think it must be quite serious, because I think with how desperate David Unsworth is for results, you'd think that, you'd give someone a go.
Well, everyone's going to make Tom's saying stay away from Jim Gannon, because a few comments says Jim Gannon. Phil Parkinson's
I was a bit disappointed with Unsworth at full time. He's a grown-up man. Fair enough, he does get dogs abused, but telling your own fans to F off doesn't really help. If there was an issue, he should have went inside and told the club staff there's an issue with this person and resolve it.
I think you're right in terms of David's position as coach. There is.
Hang on a minute. Shez did it all the time.
I'm just saying.
Nobody cared because it was Shez.
As manager, you know what I mean. As manager, I didn't agree when Shez did it. You know what I mean. I don't agree with any manager who.
What about podcast hosts? Are they allowed?
That's different, because we have a platform to say what we like, but he has a responsibility to fans. He could have been young children about. He's not setting an example for the game. The game's based on respect.
Fair enough, but it's both ways.
Both ways. It's both ways. I get it.
Yeah.
But I think
David Mark, you've been very helpful today. You let me have my view.
Yeah.
And
always.
Yeah. I was a bit disappointed when you was getting dog abuse on Twitter, and I don't agree with that, because you're a Lachix fan at the end of the day. You want the best.
Yeah, but there are idiots in all walks of life, aren't there? So,
I really hope we win on Saturday.
What score do you think it'll be, mate?
It's a difficult one to call, because Gateshead have started really well.
I know. Go on quickly, mate. Go on. What would you think?
Hopefully 2-1. Hopefully 2-1, and I'll let you get another caller on. And thanks very much.
Take care, mate.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That one. Yeah, Adrian. Hello.
How you doing, guys?
Oh yeah, tickety boo, mate. Tickety boo. Yeah. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad.
Well, Tom will be you next, then Michael. Ben, Ben, I showed you first, and then Jack, and then Luke, LR Bix. So sorry, Adrian, carry on, mate. What points do you want to make, mate? Sorry.
I've got a few things to say. The first thing I want to say is I want to jump to you guys' defence. I want to jump to the defence of Matt, lesser to you, Dave, because you're only getting all this shit, and Andy Halliwell. I think we take it back it's probably about 18 months ago. I think it was said on the podcast that, we want to be at the stage where we're actually talking about the football and not about the state of the club, the dire state of the club. So I think first thing is we've got to kind of remember that, because we are talking about the football. It might be a bit shite at the moment, but we're actually talking about the football. Yeah. And it's been a pretty torrid week. I don't know who we do the social media, but I just pop in and out and see what's been going on. And it's pretty horrible, kind of rotten stuff, And there's one thing, and this is directly at you, Matt. I mean, you've been saying, you just want a job at Oldham Athletic in the media department. Well, I've got to say, if I was, if I was Frank and stuff, and there's anybody for the media department, and this is to all you guys, then I quite happily employ you, because I think you do a really bloody good job. So regardless of all the shit that you're getting, just keep going, because you're providing the platform. And I will say one other thing. I'll say one other thing.
Because I like to have the freedom to give people grief.
Yeah, and Matt, I know you don't, but all you guys are qualified to do it, because you do a bloody good job, And I'll say another thing is that PTB, they did a fantastic job. We all pulled together. PTB withdrew at the right time because they thought the job was done. You guys are stuck there. And if it wasn't for you guys in PTB, I wouldn't be engaged with Oldham Athletic as I am now. So ignore all this shit you're getting on the internet and carry on doing what you're doing, because you're doing a fantastic job. And it's a great platform.
Will do.
Okay.
Will do, Adrian.
In terms of that, we do put our heads above the parapet, and all these keyboard warriors, I'd just like to jump on the back of it, who hide behind the Rhino logo or whatever, and they put these smart ass comments, cutting clips of previous podcasts to suit their agenda. Ross Coyne, you can just flip off.
Was it not the case?
Listen, Adrian. So we've not had a very good start to the season. We've won 1 game in 6.
Yeah.
David Unsworth has not delivered. Like, let's be honest. I'll say he's not delivered the points on the board that we all want. So where do you sit? Does he need a bit more time and a bit more patience, or are you at the end of your tether?
I think I can't. I'm not on the end of my tether. I totally agree that it's up to the board to decide. What's going to happen. But the other side of the coin is, I think Mr. Unsworth is a decent bloke, and he obviously wants to do very well. But the other side of the coin is that I think he probably knows where it's going. And at some point, it's a 3-year contract. In the back of his mind, does he have to fall on his sword? And I think it might be the case. It might have to fall on his sword, and I think that's the honourable way to do it. That's in my opinion. I
see a man when I talk to him, Adrian. And when not through the media, but on the few times that I've met him, who really, really, really wants to succeed as a football manager.
Yeah,
who loves the game. He genuinely has a lot of passion for the club. He's invested into it, so he wants to succeed. And his success in this role is going to set him up for his career in football management or not. So I think he really, really wants it, and I genuinely think he's trying his best. So it's just genuinely a case of not everybody who wants something is good enough or whatever. But I think this is either going to make him or break him this next few months. I think that's where he's at. I think he's either going to step up and be the guy that he wants to be, or he's going to, like you said, just die on his sword, fall on his sword.
Well, I'm down in Shropshire. I've not been to any games. I've been to two home games. I'm getting the Dorking game, I think, and then the Kidderminster game. But from what I've seen, I was in the main stand. Even last year, he seems very sort of passive. He doesn't seem very proactive, and he doesn't seem to be able to actually change the game. You know, I mean, when I was at Halifax, you know, we went 1-0 down and he put Reed on, you know, and everybody just knew it needed changing. And I, you know, I really have my doubts that it doesn't set the right level of expectation with the fans. I don't think he does that. And I think he might be a good coach, but, you know, I don't want to sack him. I don't want to sack him, but I'm not sure. I think he's a nice bloke, but I'm just not sure if he's doing the right job. And
I'm not sure if you heard the podcast this week, Adrian.
I did. I listen to it at 6 o'clock every Monday. I'm the first one on there. Yeah.
Andy Roberts. Dave just says burps stink. They do, don't they? They're very garlicky. Andy Roberts made some really good points about just looking at it from like a business point of view. Like, what do you do? What are the fine tunings that need to be made? And I'm pretty sure that, like, I mean, when he did the interview with us on the podcast, he told us how often he's speaking to Darren Royal on the phone every single day. The discussions at this point in the season now, with the way things have been, they must be talking about the fine details of everything.
Yeah.
And they must be really, really looking and working really, really hard on these things. And surely,
yeah, but Mate, he's playing a style of football, isn't he? I mean, I watch what I see on the TV. I go when I can, listen to what I can. He's playing a style of football, which is, one, it's not attractive to watch, and two, I don't actually think it's working. I mean, you've got Shelton.
Well, it's not, is it? The results.
And I've seen Nuttall. You know, he's getting loads of the. I've seen Nuttall. There's balls flying in, and he's ducking underneath them. You know,
no,
and it's just.
I think he's getting a lot of abuse, Nuttall, undeservedly.
Yeah, I think he's getting a lot of abuse because it's not the type of football he's used to. I'll go back to his story. You know, he was talking about somebody mentioned Solihull. You know, they've got a new manager, but I mean they lost Reed to us and lost Dallas. You know, and it's. I don't prescribe to this get him out Unsworth shite and all that business, but I really do think there's been enough time, and from what I've seen and from what I've heard, you know, it's not attractive football, and I'm not sure if there's a real plan in place there, to be honest. And I personally, I don't want him to seem, and it's up to the Rothwells to go and sack him or not, but I think, you know, he kind of knows. I think he's a decent guy. In his heart's in the right place. I wish him all the best. You know, I'd loved him to take us to, you know, great heights and stuff. He may well do that, but I really have my doubts. And I think that, you know, within 3 or 4 games, you know, he'll know. He knows what's going on. I mean, he's talking about Lundstrom and Ward. I mean, are they the last throw of the dice? You know, what happens if he plays Lundstrom and Ward and it still doesn't work?
That's the thing, isn't it? What do you think the result will be on? What do you think the result will be on Saturday then?
Well, I'm having a game of golf, Dave. I know you don't like golf, and then I'm coming back to
mind it. I just don't like it that much.
It's to be honest.
We've got a few more callers, but what do you think it'll be? Win or lose or draw?
I think we need to get 7 points out of 9. Can I leave you with one last thought? And this is for all these people. I listened to Alistair Campbell. I got a quote from Alistair Campbell. He's talking about politics. He said, the only things you control in life are what you say and what you do. And I'll leave you with that one.
Thank you very much. Cheers, Adrian. Bye.
Right, so we got another caller coming in. I just want to elaborate on that point and maybe give this question to Tom, who's coming in now.
Tom, are you ready?
At this stage in our transformation and our development as a club, does it matter if the football's attractive as long as it's winning football? And we're not getting either. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But bring Tom in.
Yeah.
Tom, I'm sure you've got your own points to make.
First time caller.
Hello. Is it more important that we play winning football or attractive football?
Winning football 100%.
Okay. So there's the message.
Thanks,
Dave.
Tom. Right, we'll move on. I'm only joking.
There's the message for David Unsworth. Let's have some winning football. Right,
I mean, now we're just going to look back to how the second half of last season went. I completely agree. The performances were not brilliant, but we were third in the table. So all it comes down to is winning.
So why do you think we are doing neither at the minute? Why are we not playing attractive football and not getting the results? What's going wrong?
I think we've got to put it into a little bit of perspective first. I think we are 5 games in. I believe it's 5 games into the season.
Yeah, we've completed 5 games now, is it?
Did you say? I thought it was 6.
5 or 6?
I thought it was 6.
5 or 6, 2 of which we've had
6,
off pretty, periods in the game where we were in the game, arguably. We may not have played well up until that point, but we were still in the game by the scoreline. And the other, we've had 3 games. Okay, we've beat Aldershot really well. Drew away at Chesterfield, and then it was disappointed against Halifax. I think we've got to put it into perspective. It is really early on in the season, and let's put it into perspective of where we were at as a club 12 months ago and how much progress has been made. That, yes, not just from Frank, but from the board and from David Unsworth as well. I really agreed with the points that a caller from last week made about giving David Unsworth some of the credit for, I've heard Latics fans say, look at the team that we've recruited this season. We should be competing to a much higher degree than what we are doing. And I completely agree. But surely some of that praise has to go to David Unsworth for bringing some of those players in. I appreciate there are data analysts and scouts as well who deserve some of the credit as well. But go on.
I think the infrastructure building that up, which David Unsworth's been a fundamental factor in, has attracted these level of players like your Norwoods, like your Lundstroms, because we've seen James Norwood, he's dropped from League One in effect to National League. Now he hasn't just come for the money; he must have come for the vision. But he's looked at the infrastructure, looked at what we've got, because he could have had a few choices to go to, but he's doing a lot of stuff off the pitch. I know it's not happening on the pitch, but to get that level of player in this league, like Lundstrom, I think someone else was in for him as well as us who activated his release clause. And I think it was the club, because we are a big club and we've got some history. But I think the plan, the management and the infrastructure as it's been built over pre-season. Last season, we didn't even have a training ground because Chapel Road had been dried out because we didn't have any maintenance on it. It's completely turned on its head. We've got Stats Bomb now. We've got all these different things. And for Paddy Howard, if you're watching, we've painted the steps nice and bright near the ticket office. But it doesn't win your football matches. However, it will come. And I think it will come. But it's a results-based business. So I can see where the frustration is coming from all the time.
Why do you think that, this might just be pure psychology, human nature, just different types of people. Yep. But it seems to me that with people who are maybe sort of have got a more holistic sort of view of the whole thing of where we are now and an acceptance of where we are and that good things will come. And then there's the other side, which are kind of expecting or wanting or demanding. I'm not sure. I don't want to put words in their mouth, but more now. And is why do you think we've got that sort of those two categories within the fan base?
Well, I'm definitely on the former side of that, but I completely understand why we have the latter. We've been deprived of success for so long. I was born in 1994. We've never had promotion in that time. Success has been essentially Blackpool playoff semi-finals, Everton, Forest, Liverpool, Everton again, and Fulham. That's basically the success that I've known. And people go to Latics games week in, week out, spending the hard-earned cash and expect some return for the for the time that they're investing into the club and their money that they're investing into the club, and they're not getting that. I almost think, though, that perhaps this psychology has become sort of ingrained into us as Latics fans, that we almost expect failure, or at least some of the portion of the supporters expect failure, and so they turn in game time to, giving maybe David Unsworth and some of the players abuse. And I just think it just seems so counterproductive for me. Don't get me wrong, people if they're willing to spend their time and money into Oldham Athletic, they deserved their voice. I completely agree with that. But if if we're hurling abuse at players and at managers, how are they expected to deliver under that such extreme pressure? We go to work day in, day out. Do we accept abuse from people? Are we expected to be able to perform at such a high level with such pressure? We're called supporters for a reason. We need to support and encourage the players and the manager. We need to get behind them. We need to trust Frank and the board and the decisions that they're making are right for the club, which they are. We're trying to, we've got this culture at Oldham of sacking managers, and the new board and owner are trying to rectify that. They're trying to instill a new culture into the club that is not sacking the manager. David Unsworth has a 3-year contract. We're just over 12 months into that. And 12 months ago, we were nowhere, or just over 12 months ago, we were nowhere. And now we've got a team that arguably on paper should be doing much better than what it is. But we're 6 games into the season. Give him more time. People said at the start of the season, give him 10 games. I think more than that. I think let's give him a good couple of months. Let's give him back in. If we come to Christmas, or maybe slightly before Christmas, and things haven't improved, then yes, I agree. We probably need to move on. But hurling abuse at players and at managers is not going to be. It's counterproductive. And
or at podcast hosts.
Tom Gaz, who was on earlier, and he's able to switch on some common sense when he's talking. But he's even managed it in the text here. He's mini Matt Dean. He's just paid you a massive compliment. So I think that's really nice of him. But I think you've talked perfect sense there. I would rather that as a club and a fan base, we were able to turn around at the end of a manager's tenure, whether that be a year, 6 months, whatever it is, and turn around and say, yeah, we got behind that guy. We got behind that manager. We gave him everything we could. The board saw, because it was obvious to a point that the manager wasn't doing it, and he walked away, and that manager walked away and said, you know what? Credit to those fans, because they got behind me the whole time. They backed me the whole time. It didn't work out. But what a pleasure it was managing their football club. And I'd like to just thank them. There's no way David Unsworth's going to walk away from this football club saying that if things don't go well. He's going to turn around. He might not say anything publicly, but in the back of his mind he'll be saying, you know what, a right portion of their fans didn't give me a chance and they were horrible. And I'd rather it was that as a collective we were able to back the manager, even if we weren't convinced, even if the results weren't going our way. And I think that level of perspective, look, it's going to take a seismic shift in fan psychology, because we're no different as a football club than any other football club. This doesn't matter where you go. I think that would be better than what we've got at the minute, which is like we can't wait to see the back of him among certain fans, and then it's rinse and repeat on the same manager if things don't go. It's just going to be Abdallah.
It's not sustainable. It's just be Abdallah all over again. It's just not going to work. Tom, quickly for Saturday, what's your prediction?
Well, the delusion in me as a Latics fan would say, yeah, let's go and win 2-1 and
2-1.
Gateshead, it's a tough place to go. They did really well last season. And yeah, I hope we do really well. Just one really last point is, I just think almost we, as Latics fans, we almost contradict ourselves sometimes. We have this. It can't be argued that we have a fantastic fan base. Yes, we're one of the biggest clubs in the division. Yes, but then if we then just hurling abuse, then it's almost like we're contradicting ourselves. We're not. We've got to. If we've got this fantastic fan base, let's use it to our advantage and encourage the players in the match.
That irony hasn't been lost on some of us, Tom, for sure.
Thanks.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
And first time call, you've been brilliant. Make sure you call again, mate. Thank you.
Let's keep up the good work. Cheers.
Cheers, mate.
Michael, you coming in?
Is he on?
I've seen him. Michael.
Hello.
It's that Michael.
Oh, it's that.
He
Michael
did show his face and then went off.
So all right, Michael.
Yeah.
What do you want to say, mate?
I just think it's all coming a bit too much. We can go to games like Aldershot and expect to win like that every week, and then when our performances are bad, I think it just gets a bit I don't know what fans know what to do sort of thing, because we can play really well and then play really bad. And then we don't know what to go off, because then we could play like that, like we did on Monday, but and then now we could play like really well for 3 games, then really bad again, and then the fans change. So it's a bit.
What do you think then? What do you think the fans should be doing? Do you think they should be supporting them win or lose, or do you think they have the right to be turning on the manager when it doesn't go their way?
Well, I don't think they should turn on the manager, but I think some fans should obviously be allowed their sort of view, but I don't think sacking him is the best thing yet. I think give him till midway through November, and if we still playing how we did on the last few games, then obviously there is a bit to look at where if we do need to sack him, but I don't think sacking him like tomorrow is the best thing to do.
You know what I think, Michael? I think when you get in a crowd mentality and a mob mentality, I think people are easily led as well. I think, and that's why my problem is with some of the stuff on social media and stuff like that, like where you just keep hammering a message. It's done so to sort of like kind of like draw people in, and I do think people are kind of easily led in an environment where people start chanting and stuff, and that's why I think a small number of people can have an influence on a larger number of people, and that's why what I've been trying to do over the last couple of weeks is address that balance, because I think that the smaller number of people that make a lot of noise, it tends to make people. Now I know that there probably was quite a few people in the stadium on Saturday that were singing and across the ground, but it certainly wasn't a full representation of everybody. And I think the phoning over the last couple of weeks has represented that it's not everybody who wants Unsworth out. There are a lot of people who are prepared to give him the patience and the time. They're just not quite as loud and as sort of forthright as some of the Unsworth out crowd.
Well, Joe, but we're not easily led, Matt. Our eyes don't lie to us. We watch games and see the tactics. Joe, more than happy to talk to you about it rather than hiding behind a comment on YouTube.
Listen, I never said, Joe, that you are easily led. I think that's another one of those kind of triggery things.
No, I didn't really.
No, but like I think people are easily led. Like that's just a fact. People are easily led, especially in a mob sort of mentality. We can debate that if you want to call in at some point, Joe. But I think if people don't start the chants and people don't like. I'm not saying people shouldn't or they're not within their rights to do it. What I'm thinking of is what is better for the club, and I think it's better if we get behind a manager until the board say, you know what, this isn't working, and at least we can turn around, hold our heads up and say, yeah, we are the best fans around because we'll get behind whoever's the manager of Oldham Athletic has our support until the board see fit to get rid of him. That's all I've been saying from day one.
Right, well, Michael, sorry, mate, go on.
If fans want it, if fans want the good performances, then they should get behind Unsworth and the players, because if you get behind the players and Unsworth, things might change. Where if you just give him grief all the time, then he must be looking and be like, "Well, you're giving me grief, so I might give you some grief back." Right. So
never a truer word spoken.
Well said, Michael. Well said,
Michael. What score on Saturday, mate?
I reckon we'll win 1-0.
I hope so.
It's all wins tonight, isn't it? It's all wins at the moment. Right then. Thanks, Michael.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
So, just kick in from the studio.
Dave's on mouse duty tonight.
I know, mouse duty. Well. We saw Ben before. It is, we saw you had spiky hair. Sorry. Ben, come out here, Ben.
Hi, guys. You all right?
You're not bad, mate.
Good. A couple of things I just want to mention. First thing, I'm Unsworth in. I think we've got to give him time. We've got to give him all that backing that we can do. But I think there's a couple of things that just don't sit well at the minute. Early on last season, he said he wants to play tactics and he knows what his audience is with 2 guys up front. Well, if I was a manager, why don't he play his own tactics? I understand that we all want to play like Man City, but let's face it, we're never going to be able to do that. Play his tactics, play how he wants to do. Is that why we're not getting results? Is that why we're not? He's sacrificing playing like that for when the results are not coming? We all know the results are not coming anywhere. And I just think we're going to pin a lot of hopes on Lundstrom when he comes back in, if that's what he thinks is going to make the difference as well.
I mean, that central midfield position is so vital. It really, I mean, it's so vital. It's the one thing that stops those hoofballs. It's that composure when the other team are bossing it, and we just need that possession. I mean, I mean, I want to give a shout out to Nathan Sheeran for Monday's performance. The guy ran and ran and ran and ran and ran. He's an absolute warhorse of a footballer, and he will battle and he will cover every blade of grass. Unfortunately, on the ball, he's no.
He can't pass it, can he?
No, but if he does all that, he breaks the play up, and he can give it to somebody, one or two more midfield players that can get on the ball and dictate more of the play, and start linking up Joe Nuttall and Norwood. I think it's there. I can only imagine the level of frustration that the manager must be feeling, because I think he probably feels that it's within touching distance because of some of the quality that is on that pitch, and that's where a lot of the fans' frustration lies. They're looking at some of the quality of the bid, saying we should be getting better results, and we should. And I genuinely do think we will, but we might be wrong. But yeah, I think you're right. I think there is a lot of pressure on Lundstrom when he comes back. But look, I mean, if he's a proper footballer, he'll thrive on it, won't he?
Well, yeah, only time will tell, and that's the thing. So, what do you think for Saturday, Ben? Do you think we've got a chance against Gateshead?
I don't know. Gateshead obviously play some decent football, don't they? Looking at last season. So don't get me wrong, I'd love to win, but the way we're playing at the minute, obviously, I'd take a 1-1 and take a draw.
What do you think? How do you think we should set up? Because last season they passed us off the park. We played them 3 times. They passed us off the park every time. Do you think that we will do the same sort of sit back, try and hold our shape, stifle them in midfield, and hit them on the break? Do you think that's how?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we will do that. Obviously, because that's obviously what he's done. Obviously, this season up to now. Don't get me wrong. It'd be nice if we, pressed them from first whistle, if you like. But I think he's gonna, do the same that he's been doing pretty much all season at the minute. But I'm one for winning games no matter how we play. Obviously, it's nice to see pretty football, but at the end of the day, we all want to win games and get promoted, don't we? Just another thing I want to mention about is his signings. Some of the signings he's made, I'm not sure we either actually needed them or he actually wanted them at that time. Like Raglan, I don't know, he was supposed to be going to Carlisle, was he? Apparently that was a rumour, and then he ended up coming to us. Was our last ditch thing just because he was available and he was played in League One. Norwood, don't get me wrong, I won't turn Norwood down. Every team probably in this league could take Norwood, but is it something we actually needed over knowing what our midfield was like? Could we have signed another midfield and waited for someone like that, if you know what I mean?
Was Willoughby supposed to be the main striker and then Norwood's come in? I think I've had similar thoughts, I must admit, about like how the squad has come together, and with the signing of Hobson, for example, Hogan, Hobson, and Raglan, not signing a right back. Was the intention primarily to play that 3 at the back and have Kitchen and quite possibly Green as wing backs, and that was how the season was supposed to start? And I'm not sure that. I think part of the reason why a lot of fans aren't convinced about the formation and the way they were going to play, and that maybe Unsworth still isn't himself.
Yeah, there's something not right, is it, with the tactic? He tried it against Southend, we got Dick 4-0, didn't we? So it clearly doesn't work. But then he's only done it once, and so he didn't persevere with it. But again, it's just trying to fight. It's not an easy job management, is it? But it's just. We're all feeling the same.
We're all feeling what we want then is we want that perfect away performance on Saturday, don't we? We want the tight, difficult to break down, score a goal, keep a clean sheet, come back with 3 points, and that's all that matters. Come back with 3 points would just be fantastic. But from what we've seen of Gateshead over last season, it's not going to be easy.
I just think
absolutely.
Also,
well, like I say, we're all managers in the armchair, aren't we? We all think how we should play and know what to do and who to pick and what have you. But at the end of the day, we don't see what's like in training. Who's doing what? Is everyone pulling the weight in training? All that sort of stuff. So
exactly.
Rob says here 8,000 managers at every home game. Well, you bang on there. And also, if you don't agree with someone doesn't agree with somebody on the Twitter or who doesn't agree with us, it just becomes carnage. And it's the socials at the moment are just a disgrace, aren't they?
Well, I mean, I can't exactly say that I haven't been contributing to that. So, listen, Ben, thanks for the comment. We're going to skip through. We've got a few more to get through. No more callers now. We've got loads. Cheers, mate. Okay, so let's talk to Luke, who's been waiting here very patiently.
Thanks for waiting, Luke.
Oh, he's got a Gateshead scarf on.
Get rid of him.
Oh,
no, Luke.
Hello, how are you guys?
Good. How are you?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Listen, we've got a lot of respect for Gateshead.
Can I hear you?
Can you hear us all right? We got a lot of respect for Gateshead. I mean, you only came. It was your first season in National League last season. You came up, played some really. We played you 3 times, and I was impressed by the football you play. How's it going this season? Are you still knocking the ball about like a second-rate Newcastle United or what?
Yeah, we are pretty knocking the ball out, still knocking the ball out and all that. But some of the football we play is honestly it's actually so good to watch from a fan point of view, really. And obviously, you want to have that at your club right now. But the way that you have obviously got that manager in charge and all that is just so good, really. It's just to see football played. It's actually bringing like a smile to my face when I'm thinking about it, really. The management team that we've got there are just so passionate on like the way they play. Really, it's just honestly, it's one of the probably one of the most satisfying things I've ever watched in like football. And all seeing that all the time and all that, how it's being played. It's just sorry to rub it in by any chance, but
no. Listen,
just incredible. Really,
starting to piss me off.
I've got a question for you, Luke. Though, like because what obviously clubs like Gateshead and Oldham have got very different pasts and quite possibly got very different futures. But you know, we find ourselves like Notts County and Wrexham and Chesterfield. You know, at our lowest point when we come into the National League. Teams like Gateshead and lots of others are finding themselves at the top of the game and going in at the highest point. How long has it taken Gateshead? How long into this journey are you in terms of like building this team and this philosophy and this style of play? How long has it taken to get to this point now where you're actually towards the top end of the National League?
Well, honestly, right. It's been quite really well, really, because we've obviously suffered quite massive financial troubles back in 2019. Obviously, our owners and all that. Joseph Caller as well, not putting enough money into the club, and obviously that set us back quite a bit. And during the time, we were obviously fighting for the playoffs during that season. So everything was like the 2018-19 season. We're obviously fighting up for the playoffs back then. And obviously we're having like off the field issues and all that, like putting a massive strain on our playoff push, really. But after that, we obviously thought we were almost like 48 hours of going out of existence, really, until the Gateshead Supporter Society brought us back to a full club, really. And honestly, after that, we were just building on from the first season we were in the National League North. Obviously, we played Hughes in the FA Cup back in 2019-20 season. And obviously, I was at the game, and obviously, I would never expect with us to be in the same league as it is now, obviously, because you're having such a torrid time for the last 30 years, like you've mentioned before. But it's just like, after that, we were just like, honestly, just the 2021 season, obviously, we got curtailed due to COVID and all that. And obviously, we were like a couple of points off the playoffs and all that, and wanting to obviously push on to them playoffs. And then after that, we had probably one of the best seasons I've ever seen of Gateshead, but obviously destroyed the league in the National League North back in 2021-2022 season, beating teams like constant, like having like goal scores with like 35 goals, 34 goals from both strikers. It was incredible, really. And honestly, it just what really brought me back into the club, really. Just the club, like the community spirit of it. It's honestly one of the probably one of the best seasons I've ever had personally from a football fan, really. And the way we played with like Langstaff and Scott and all that, banging them goals in the National League North, they were just too good of a players and all that. And also, we have still got some of that squad with us right now. Greg Ollie as well. He's a very, very creative player. He loves to thread the needle through the haystack and all that with the through balls. And obviously we've got some other class players as well, like Stephen Wern, who bagged a hat-trick against Ebbsfleet. He was absolutely incredible. Probably one of the best performances I've ever seen from a Gateshead player since Langstaff and Scott were actually at our club. But after that, when we obviously got promoted, we just start of the season, we just figure we're hard to like adapt to this league really, and we just struggled. We only got 3 games. We only won 3 games in the first 5 months or something. And honestly,
but you went and then you went on a great run, didn't you?
Dull at that point.
Yeah. So I just want to bring in.
I think our thought
from one of our this is the kind of thing where we're at. This is the difference. I mean, you've got like David here. Who cares where Gateshead are on their journey? Well, we're in the same division as them at the moment, so our journey and their journey crosses over. We're not Gateshead, no. And if we're not in a place of compare, there's an arrogance about fans from so-called bigger clubs. The fact is, you're sharing the same division, and last season you were a better team than us. There's absolutely no doubt about that. Now we play you on Saturday,
I can say that
and well. we're going to go toe to toe again, and we're going to find out. And regardless of how arrogant David might be about our club and your club, and we are a bigger club, and we should, and over time that should play out. But in terms of where we both are in our journeys, like you've been a better footballing team than us, and if we beat you at your place on Saturday, that'd be a really good result for us.
Yeah.
We'll do really well because it's going to be a tough place
definitely.
to go.
What do you think the score will be on Saturday, mate? Before we move on to the next caller,
I want to back us really. I think I'm going to go for a 3-1 to Gateshead, but we'll have to see how it goes really, because I don't know whether we're going to be up for it, because the last couple of games, well, we've basically have some form of we've won 2, lost 2, and draw 2. So basically, we're in a bit of a mixed bag, really. But
we've not been getting
honestly,
any luck, Luke. So I reckon
know.
we're going to get some luck, and you're going to get a player sent off early, and we're going to absolutely hammer you.
Yeah,
it's going to be 5
live on TV.
We've had a
live
player
on TV.
We've already had a player being sent off this Saturday for 2 needless challenges and all that, so we don't need another one.
Well,
so,
we could definitely do with a bit of luck. There's no doubt about that.
Thanks for calling in, Luke. Really appreciate you coming on as a Gateshead fan. Thank you.
Thanks, Luke.
Thanks for tuning
Good call,
in.
mate.
No, I like to thank you actually for just bringing me on and all that. And obviously, you want to get a different perspective of Saturday's game, and obviously, you want to let us talk about my club as well and all that. But
absolutely,
honestly,
you know what? I love a Geordie accent and all, so don't worry about it, mate. You're welcome. Right, we're going to move on to the next caller. Take care, pal.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
Thank you very much. Cheers, bye.
See you, mate. Bye. Right, let's cross the Le Channel.
Le Channel.
Bonsoir.
Mon ami.
Hey, lad. All right.
Yeah,
Happy
how
New
are you
Year.
doing? Long time no see, mate.
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm grand, thank you, lads. Yeah, I'm just phoning up because I'm struggling with Unsworth because I like the guy, but his football's crap. You know what I mean? I like the guy. No, seriously, he's crap. I mean, but he comes across as such an amiable chap, doesn't he? You know what I mean? And I want him to do well, but his interviews are pants. You know what I mean? He's turning the fans. He is turning the fans against him, mate. I mean, he's hard to like in here that way. As a person, he's great. His interviews, he sees things I don't ever see on a football game. I mean, you know, I don't know what he's thinking sometimes. You know, I mean, this dynamic football, it's just not happening. But I think, to be fair, going back to what the previous caller, 2 callers back said, I think with our formation, our teams changed so much in the summer. And I think Norwood coming in at the last minute has changed his plans at the start of the season. And I think his original starting 11 is now not his original start. He's not his starting lineup every week. And I think he's really he can't find his favourite 11. And I think in midfield we're struggling still. We've got injuries, but our midfield at the moment is Hudson's right foot. Let's be honest. I mean, that is our midfield, isn't it? Hudson's right foot, punting it forward. And if Fondok can keep his elbows down and keep out the rest bad books, you know what I mean? We might have a chance, but that will happen on Monday.
I think his favourite 11. I think he's got his back. I think he's got his back 4, like who he would pick. He's got his front two, I think, Norwood and not all. I think, and from what we've seen, when they do work together well, they do work together well. And then the midfield, he's not had the opportunity to pick his best midfield yet. So I think Dickinson definitely gets in there from what we've seen of him. Possibly Green on the right, and then
Gardner.
Gardner and Lundstrom. I mean, we've not seen
No,
them two
I don't
together.
think I don't think they can play
well,
together.
Lundstrom's we hear he's a box to box, so he can do the defensive thing.
Well,
Well, we don't know, do we?
Don't
So
know.
you know, we've also got Dan Ward. So I think we're yet to see like what that midfield is and what his best 11 is. But you're right that frustrates fans. Especially, I mean, we have to accept they were in the 5th division, but we've just had the conversation with the Gateshead fan. We've seen how some of the teams can play great football and not on massive budgets because Gateshead did.
Can I put this one out there? And this is for people in the comments as well. I was saying to Matt before the game, I know it's very unlikely to happen, but would you drop Hogan for Hobson? Because I think he's been suspect the last three games with his positioning, and Raglan's having to cover for him. And I know he's the club captain, but I think his legs have gone.
Listen, I agree completely, Dave, and I think Raglan has been a complete find. He's a bonus to me. He's one of our players that he's taken over from Yanni. Raglan, I think he's an absolute find, Raglan, and I think he'll be a rock. And I sort of agree that Hogan, he seems to he's happy to blame everybody, but he makes his own. His heading seems he's got a head like a 10 bob. It goes up in the air. He doesn't go. No, he's serious. I'm 10 bob 50p for.
I said 50p, yeah, 50p, yeah.
Sorry. Speaking about young old people, respect to people like Tom, you know, born in 1994. I mean, I'm not saying he's a jinx, but since then we've been going downhill. But I mean, these youngsters have had nothing to follow, have they? I mean, we've seen the glory days, us older people, you know what I mean? We've seen good times at Beventry Park. And these young people that follow us, I mean, we've got to respect them and give them something to cheer about. And I think Unsworth's just got to give us something to work on this season now. You know what I mean? I still think we'll get in the playoffs. And I could still see us going up, and it will click. It's just not working at the moment. It's just not working. I don't know why. I mean, sure, Unsworth, he must go and butt the door and kick the dog and everything. You know what I mean? Because he must get fed up with it. Because he says it's good in training. He's not a liar, is he? He's not lying to us. He must be good in training, but yet on a Saturday, on a Tuesday,
you ask, Chris. Depends who you ask. He gets the accusation about him a lot on here.
I think I might call him a few words, but I don't think he's a liar. And I think the guy, he wants to succeed, and I mean, he talks the talk, and I just wish he could just deliver it for us. Because I mean, if he can, I think we've got a great management staff. I think the setup is set up now for us to go forward as a good club. But we're not doing it, and the question I'm asking is, why the bloody hell is it not happening? Because I felt pre-season, our buzzing, this is it, it's our year, our cracked on this year, and already, I feel like it's like, you're not even in September yet, and his season's bleeding over.
But, I mean, there's a point here. Oh no, not that one. Yeah. Hogan will be suspended, Stu, and there is an issue around discipline, isn't there? And whether or not it's just something that is because of these new rules, with yellow cards and referees and stuff like that. Maybe everybody's bookings are up, because we do seem to have had a lot of bookings, and we've had 2 yellow cards as well. But maybe that's just something that's a trend across the game. I'm not sure.
I think the refereeing standard. I mean, I'm an ex-ref and Dave is one, I know, but it's questionable. It's questionable is a nice word for it. It's crap. It's pants, and it's worse than our midfield. The refereeing standard displays, aren't they? You know what I mean? They've got to do something. When the assessor's writing tons of saying, "I'm sorry, you should have had a red card and a penalty," something's gone badly wrong somewhere. I mean, you on a season you get swings and roundabouts, but we just seem to be going on a downhill helter-skelter at the moment by the referees. We're getting a short shift.
Yeah, I mean,
they are clamping down on dissent, though, and you can see it in the Premier League. You can see it in all levels now.
I mean,
it is needed, and it's just going to be. First next 2 seasons is going to be silly yellow cards, silly red cards, but it'll soon when it costs teams matches.
Like you said then, though, Chris, about because of everything that we've been through and where we were at 12 months ago, and now we were all desperate for a great start to the season, but things are ultimately on the up, and everything's going to get better. Everything's going to get a damn sight better than it was, and we all want it now. Of course we do, but it doesn't mean we're going to get it now. And like, I hope, I still, like you said, Chris, I still think that this team is going to make a real solid play for the playoffs, and I think we'll be up there by the end of the season. I think there's too much quality in this squad. Ultimately, it might be with David Unsworth in charge. It might not be. That will be determined by whether or not David Unsworth gets wins and gets points on the board, and that's up to him. It's up to his team, and it's not up to us, and it's not up to anybody who's shouting for him to be gone, because it's ultimately it's results from performance based. So I want him to succeed. It's the best thing for this club that he turns it around and becomes successful, because financially, momentum wise, infrastructure wise, everything wise, it's best for the club that happens. So I genuinely 100% wish that will happen. But that's just because that's what I hope for. Doesn't mean that that's what's going to happen. That's just the way it is. So,
did you have a question, Chris?
Yeah, I've got a quick question for you. Where do you think Willoughby's going to fit into our team and squad? Because he was a player that he actively searched and went for. I felt Unsworth went for him, and he brought him in. But yet he doesn't seem to be figuring now. So, what do you think? Where do you think he's going to fit into Unsworth's plans or the team plan? Is he? He's not sure. He's not brought him as a bench player. Willoughby hasn't accepted to come as a bench player, but he.
I think they're on rotation, these strikers. I think they're all on rotation. The Tuesday, Saturday is going to be a big factor, but he needs to be played in his right position. He played out on the left against Chesterfield, and he played like in a 4-3-3. I thought he looked pretty sharp against Solihull, and then he sort of went wider and wider, and then became a little bit more ineffective. But I'd like to see him up front with Nuttall.
Yeah,
I'd
rather see us commit to a formation like Reed and Nuttall or whatever, or Fondop and Willoughby, like the two players playing off each other. That sort of like,
because Fondop was winning everything, weren't he? Do you know what I mean?
And I'd rather see us do that and stick with that, because I think we've got
wins everything.
Yeah,
he does win everything. You can't not Fondop. His effort's immense, but he just his elbows are. And he's a liability.
He's a liability as well at the same time. He's a genius, but a liability, and he's crazy. He's not moving about for no reason at all. He's moved about at several clubs because he's got these. He's God's number 9. He's a religious man, but he's a religious man with a Kalashnikov. I mean, he's religious man, but you think, Jesus Christ, what have you done that?
He could have done with some divine intervention on Saturday, but he didn't get it, did he? Right, we're going to move on. We've got a few more callers, and I'm bursting for a piece.
Can I give you the prediction for Saturday?
Yeah, go.
My head's saying we're going to lose, but my heart's saying we're going to sneak a win on Saturday, and it's going to turn on Saturday.
Of course.
It's the hope that kills you.
End of October, we'll be in the playoffs.
I'm up for it. I'm up for that. All right, cheers, Chris.
See you lads. All the best. Keep it going. Bye, fellas.
Thanks. Cheers.
Right, let's bring in Chris. Hello, Chris.
Thank you for waiting so patiently.
No, you're all good, don't worry. How are you two? You okay?
Yeah, good, mate. Good, yeah. I could see you, like, nodding in agreement and shaking your head and at certain points, and what is it that you want to say?
I don't know. I think it's a proper tale of two sides in it this season. I think you can so understand your guys' point of view, and we know where you, Matt, sit, and obviously I think I agree in the sense that he does need probably a bit more patience and a bit more time. But I mean, you can understand fans' criticisms of him as well in the same sense. I mean, I think the biggest thing is it's just contrasting messages from Unsworth, and I think he doesn't help himself at all. I think, we've talked about fast, dynamic football, but then he has this really negative approach to games and this idea of soaking up pressure and hitting teams on the counter-attack. And I think that's what he's meant by fast, dynamic football. But fans took it completely the opposite way. And you can understand why, because that's not what you'd say counter-attacking football, not fast, dynamic football. So it's one of them. I just think it's just not the obvious approach for a team that's going to be at the top end of a league. I think you're going to open yourself up to take and soak up pressure, and you've got to be a solid defence, haven't you, to sit there for 90 minutes and not concede goals. I don't know, is it a question because of the players that we've got and the injuries that we've got? Maybe is it because his mentality is that he's a defender and that's his background and that's what he knows to do. He knows how to defend, so he does that bit first and then goes forward. But I mean, someone said it before, didn't they? They compared him to like Steve Bruce, Sam Allardyce. But those managers, you're not seeing them at the top of the end of leagues, really, are you? You're not seeing them managing, your big sides in the leagues, yeah, but you're not seeing them, top end of the table, are you? So I don't know. It's hard. I think there's loads of other things really with his contrasting messages. He talked. I mean, I went to the fan forum with you guys, and he talked about in that he said he doesn't need a right back. Will Sutton's good enough, and I mean, yeah, I think that was an element of him saying and being savvy, and he was in the market, weren't he? I think there was rumours that he was in for Regan Ogle at Scunthorpe and this, that, and the other, and then obviously he's gone out and he's got Freeman, hasn't he? But I don't know. I think the biggest frustration really is his view of games. I think he sees what we don't see, and I think it's all well and good saying we had this many chances and that many chances, but if we're not tucking them away and we're not scoring them, it doesn't matter. It could have been a completely different game at Solihull. If we'd have scored them 2 goals, we'd have been 2-0 up and laughing at half time. You go, oh great, and Fondop's probably not putting that challenge in. And
agreed.
You're turning around going, oh, what a result at Solihull. But I don't know. I just think it's hard. It's a real side. It's a real tale of two sides, really. I think as a season, you come in and there's so much expectation. I think, and maybe that's the problem. I think fans coming away going, we're going to finish second, and the bookies had us second, and everyone's walking away thinking, oh, we're going to do magical things. But I think you just got to look at last season. We finished 12th, and we finished 12th for good reason. Yeah, we had a obviously difficult start to the season with the turmoil and everything, and then obviously it's turned around. But I think people expecting you to walk in and be battering teams and HMS Pistol League and all the rest of the stuff. And I just think it's hard. I think you've got to be realistic. We weren't going to turn around, especially with the amount of players that we had brought in, the amount of gel that's going to need to be happening on the side. We weren't going to blow sides away, were we? So
what would you do, Chris? What would you do, Chris?
I think I don't know. It's hard. I think, like I said before, it's 8,000 managers in a stadium, and what do I know? Do you know what I mean? So, but I think. I mean, people have suggested all sorts, haven't they? It's, people say play Dan Gardner, and I think the huge positive is we got 90 minutes out of him against Solihull. So at least there's some, his legs seem to be underneath him a little bit. We're not going to get him game after game doing that because I just don't think he's anywhere near fit enough. I think the issue really, it's the Shelton and Sheeran thing, and I think that's been there out of necessity. I think you've got Dickinson. Can you put Dickinson in the middle of the park instead of putting him out wide, and then you've got another option. It's really hard. I think that there are positives to take away. I think, obviously Norwood's different class. I think his play, not even when he's on the ball, when he's off the ball, the little things that he does, his movement. I think when you watch him, if you watch him as an individual, he's different level.
Yeah.
As he's a leader as well. If you watch how he talks, he's always talking to everybody. He's always giving instructions, and he is. I mean, you can see it, and that's what we need. Those characters on the pitch. I think it's been a really, really good call. Like, it's been really considered, and you've looked at things from lots of different points of view. And I think
it's hard. I think
one of the things that's very frustrating, Chris, and I think that this is the difference. I think football managers look at the game very differently than football fans look at the game,
because the job depends on it.
Yeah,
that's
and
why.
also because they have to look at the opposition in a lot more detail. They have to look at individual threats, the way that the other team's set up. We go into a game, we don't know how Solihull play. We don't really pay any attention to it. We get here and we want Oldham to do this. And that's fine because we want to see our teams blow everybody away like Man City do, and that's a different level completely. But like, it would be really interesting, and it might be something for the club to consider, where maybe if we could get a bit more of an insight from the managers, from the coaching staff, in the way that some of the media just learn a bit more about how they see the game, and like when you see these documentaries and stuff, and you've got a bit more insight into the mind and the managers and how things work, and because I think there's a disconnect between how fans see football and how it's being thought about within internally. I don't know. I think
it's hard. Like I say, I think that's. I mean, it's arguably more of a negative when Unsworth comes out in his interviews, doesn't he? I think he tries to explain himself and tries to explain kind of what his thought process was in a sense, but
he overcompensates for his.
He doesn't help himself, does he, at all? And I think he opens himself up to criticism, and fans are going to criticise him. You've won 1 in 6, and you're going to get criticism. Any manager in the world would. You could have Alex Ferguson at the helm, and you're still going to get criticism if you go 1-6. Do you know what I mean? Especially the expectation that was there. So I don't know. It's hard. I do want to see a bit more expansive football. I think that's the thing. I want to see that change in mentality, and I think maybe that's what he tries to do with a 4-3-3. I don't think we've got players for a 4-3-3. I mean, he put Willoughby out wide on the left, and I just think it's a complete waste.
I agree. I think a 4-4-2 is.
The reality is we've got players for 4-4-2. He just needs to stick with it and stick with one system and consistently improve it, and then we'll see where we are come kind of October, November.
Nice one. Listen, that was a really good call. We do have a request here to get Jack on, and he is waiting. He's going to be our last caller, so we're going to be. But that was a really good call, Chris. Thanks very much. Phone in again, won't you, mate?
Please phone in.
No worries, all good.
Please.
All right, mate.
Cheers,
mate.
Cheers.
See you now. Here he is.
Whack attack.
How are you, Jack?
You're all right.
I saw you on the Monday actually, out the back of the Rochdale Road end.
Yeah, I saw you fighting.
You were taller than I thought you were. You were quite tall, aren't you? And I walked past when I just got a bit. Then I got a bit distracted to run you because I was going to grab you and say hello, but you just I lost you. But you were there on Monday.
Matt Dean was spying on
you. Were coming out the Rochdale Road end, which is you saw it from the same stand as I saw it from. What's your take on the Monday's game?
I think in that game it was we set up like he tried something different and it didn't work. The midfield, I think he did great by starting Dan Gardner, but like he said in an interview, playing Saturday, Monday, you can't have the exact same team starting because obviously fitness. So he had to make a change, and until the team was weaker, it was weakened by not having Norwood starting. But I don't know really, because the game was a much different game to what I was expecting. I was expecting I did say 6 points and we only got 1. That's quite disappointing.
Yeah, definitely.
In the second half, I thought we played better with 10 men than 11.
Agreed.
Because we made the chances, and then the referee didn't help either, to be honest. And
it was pretty fine. It was fine margins the other night, wasn't it? Because we had some great chances. You like diving header from Reed in front of the Rochdale Road end. That could have gone in. The 2 goals earlier on in the game.
Shelton should have put one away.
Yeah, it was really disappointing. But you didn't. I came away from that game gutted because I felt like there was a result in there. And we just didn't get it. So I felt really disappointed for the players because they put a real shift in. Felt disappointed for the manager because I thought that everything that went against us in that game wasn't on him. And it was just very sort of deflating, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think the scoreline didn't reflect how we played because it should have been really 1-0 and we went for it and we got hit on the counter. And there's nothing to do about that. So that's just unlucky.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a great goal that we conceded. It was, they went through us far, far too easily. You could just see it coming. It was like a couple of passes, boom, 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 and then they were in. So that was disappointing. But against 10 men, they're going to catch you at some point. It's really, really hard to maintain a game for an hour with 10 men. But I don't know. I mean, how would you go about the game at Gateshead? Would you, if you were Unsworth, would you be thinking, you know what? We can't afford to lose, and we need to set up to avoid letting goals in. Or would you be thinking, you know what, it's about time we had a real goal?
I think Unsworth will think. I think they're going to play a 3-5-2, to be honest, because we got to play 2 up front because we've got so many strikers. I don't want to play it, but I think that's why he's going to have to line up.
No, Jack, don't say that, mate. But you did say we get 6 points out and we got 1, so I hope you're very, 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 very wrong. I just, please, God, no. Just 4-4-2, keep it simple, and then revert to a 4-5-1 when we're under pressure. That's all we can do. 4-4-2, it'll probably be a 4-5-1 when we go, or we play Norwood up front, and he'll do the same formation as Chesterfield and get him on the break. But don't say 3-5-2. God, no.
You just did.
Don't.
Well, how do we know?
Knows.
Maybe Jack should go in there and have a game. Just maybe that's what we should do. I mean, we have 8,000 managers. Maybe we should give it to the odd one every now and again.
Well,
see how he gets on.
Ellis Bradshaw. Dave as manager.
I don't think Ellis is
Dave
about
Unsworth
you.
or Dave Bradley. Ellis, just comment if you want Dave Bradley as manager. No, don't. I'm not joking.
So look, we got one.
Are we going to win on Saturday?
You went
though,
for
Jack?
6 points. We got one. I mean,
I think it's going to be a very scrappy game, and I think we're going to win 1-0.
Well, look, I mean, we'll take it all day long.
I hope you're wrong about the tactics, but I hope you're right about the result, mate. What would you do though? How long's he got left, in your opinion, though?
I was agreeing with. I think it might have been Tom or Michael who said give him till Christmas. I think it was, and I would give him until there, and because then if you get a new manager and they've got like a transfer to see if they want anyone gone or if they want anyone there.
Okay, well, I think as long as he's winning games, he stays in the job. As long as he, if he keeps losing them, then it makes the board's decision maybe a bit easier. So, let's see. Let's start on Saturday with 3 points. We'll take it. Thanks for the call, Jack.
Cheers, Jack. Brilliant. Cheers, mate.
See you later, mate. Right, that's definitely going to be. That's definitely going to be.
I think the caller of the night was that lad. What was he called? First time caller. Chris was good. Was he called Matt?
Me.
Not you. The other Matt.
No, there wasn't another Matt.
What was the other guy called?
Tom.
Good.
Mini Matt.
Yeah.
No, I liked him because he said lots of things that
Gaz, you didn't do too bad.
Gaz was all right. Yeah.
Gaz was okay.
Look, I think we've given everybody a chance to say their points.
Yeah. Oh, and Ibby, don't forget old Ibster. He did. I think he was.
Yeah.
balanced.
I mean, just like to mention, Ross, you've got the opportunity to come on and talk. I know you're not watching this now, but
Great show, Tomb.
Great. Oh, the death of the phone.
The death of the phone.
Best caller was Luke, calling to Nick.
Right.
But he just gets it.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, I mean, it's this platform is there. We want to talk about it. We all want the same thing. We want the club to do well, and we're all on the same side. So let's we could do the bit of Jerry Springer.
Let's just chill out, for crying out loud.
Yeah, let's try and love one another right now. And I'm gonna try and do some kind of meditative healing over the weekend and just start again.
What, tantric.
I think so.
Should try it.
Yeah. So thanks for all your input tonight. We've gone on way longer than usual, but if people phone in and they want to have to say, then that's great. So thanks for getting involved, everybody, and we'll see you again.
Bye.
This is a test of the Boundary Park alert system.